Yo, what's good, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. So you guys are having a good day so far. I'm doing pretty good. It's really cold where I live right now. I've been freezing my tits off like all day. But that's enough about my boobs. I'm going to go into the story time now. I think it's a pretty good one. If you enjoy it, leave a like on the video if you do. And let's get into today's story. So today's story time all takes place 1 year ago. And it's about none other than my ex and how my ex got me swatted. Now, I've been swatted quite a few times. If you've watched this channel for more than like a year, you've probably heard about many of the times. I first got swatted when I was like 15 years old, or maybe even younger, and it happened very frequently up until the point where I was like 19. Now, don't get me wrong, I've had some close calls since then, but most of the time, if it does happen, the police already know who I am because they know I'm a streamer and a YouTuber, so they don't really react the way they would if it was like a first-time occurrence. But this time was a little bit different than the rest, and one of the most interesting in my opinion, because my ex-girlfriend caused it by accident. At least I hope it was by accident. Anyway, let's jump into today's story time. I hope you enjoy it. Leave a like on the video if you do, and let's get into it. So today's story time all takes place 1 year ago. I had just moved into a new place, a new house. I was actually staying near my hometown for a year. I wasn't in my hometown specifically, but I was kind of living near it. And I was close enough to see family and friends from back home and still kind of have like new surroundings, you know what I mean? So I just moved into this new place, and around this time I was dating somebody who I had been dating for a pretty long time. One of my longest relationships. I don't know how long in years, but I know it was at least more than one. It was probably like 1.5, maybe 2 years. And I know for some people they're gonna be like, yo, that's not that long. And it's not, but it's long compared to other relationships I've had. I feel like anything longer than a year is enough to really have feelings for somebody and really be in like a serious relationship with them. You know what I mean? So I was over a year in with this girl. We were both happy. I was living on my own in this new house, but honestly, it was kind of like she was living with me. Like she spent most nights at my house instead of actually at her own house. So we were pretty much living together. Now, about a month into living in this new house, everything is going great. No problems, unpacked my stuff, I was all moved in, everything was perfect, nothing seemed like it could go wrong, right? Yeah, well, of course, every time I think that way, something has to fucking go wrong. So, about a month into living at this new place, me and my girl are sitting in the living room, watching Netflix, literally just relaxing, doing a whole lot of nothing. And all of a sudden, she looks over at me and she goes, "Who's Jocelyn?" Just asked me who some random girl's name is. And I was like, I don't know. Who's that? She goes, well, you should have an answer for me considering she's a contact in your phone. And I was like, what are you talking about? She goes, open your phone up and type that name in. So I open up my phone. I go to my contacts, very confused. And I scroll down to the J's and there's a girl named Jocelyn. And then I was like, wait a minute. How do you know I have a contact with the name Jocelyn? And she goes, don't worry about it. I'm like, were you going through my phone? She goes, maybe. I'm like, wow, real mature. Glad we have trust. And immediately it clicks in my head who it is. It was my 6th grade girlfriend. Literally my middle school girlfriend. Like one of the first relationships I'd ever been in, if you could even call it that. We dated for like 2 weeks. And I start laughing. And she's like, what's so funny? I was like, it's literally a girl I dated in middle school. And I haven't spoken to her since the day we broke up. So I think you're getting worked up over nothing. But here, look, I'll prove it to you. And I pulled up a really old Facebook post from like years ago when I was in middle school of me and her holding hands. And she goes, so this was your ex? I was like, yeah. And she goes, and you never deleted her contact? Why? I was like, honestly, I have hundreds of contacts that I don't talk to anymore, and I just haven't deleted because I'm lazy. No other excuse than that. I'm lazy. She goes, that's a shitty excuse. I would delete my ex in a heartbeat. I was like, I'm sorry that you're upset with me, but like, I don't mean any harm by it. I literally haven't talked to this girl since middle school, and it wasn't serious back then either. I dated her for like 2 weeks. And she starts getting really mad at me. She's like, Austin, you're treating this like a joke, and you're not taking my feelings seriously. Like, you need to fucking step up and be a man in this situation and do the right thing and delete that contact. And I had never seen her act like this up until this point. Like, every day before that day, she was not clingy. She was not insecure. She trusted me. There was no ounce of, like, not trusting me. And I would maybe understand if it was, like, an ex from high school or something, but this was an ex from middle school. It wasn't even like a serious girlfriend or anything. Anyway, you're probably wondering, Austin, how does this lead to you getting swatted? I have to know. So me and her keep kind of arguing back and forth, and I'm trying to tell her, like, listen, there's nothing to worry about. I'm not, like, behind your back talking to anybody. I'm not cheating on you. Like, I literally just forgot to delete an old contact. And she's like, well, you know what? I think you should delete it. So I did. I deleted the contact right in front of her. I was like, here, look, I deleted it. I'm like, are we good now? And she goes, honestly, no. I have to take a walk. Like, I just have to clear my head. I'm like, okay, fair enough. So she gets up, walks over to the front door, puts her shoes on, and walks out of my house, out of my driveway, and just starts walking away from my house. Now, after she leaves for her walk, I just lean back on the couch and just keep watching Netflix to try and unwind and calm down from that really, really strange argument that I did not enjoy being in. And a couple minutes later, I start to doze off, which was weird. I don't usually do that, but I start getting tired and dozing off while sitting on the couch. And I'm fighting it, right? Like, I don't want to fall asleep because I want to make sure I'm awake when my girlfriend gets back. So I'm like staying awake. I'm fighting to stay awake. And like 10 minutes later, I see really bright headlights pulling up to my house. And like not just one pair of headlights, lots of headlights. I mean like 4 cars. And they all pull up to my house. And then 2 more headlights come down the street. And another one pulls up. And I end up having 7 cars park on the street right in front of my house. Now, at this point, I wasn't really panicking because I honestly thought that they were there for the neighbors. My neighbor's house wasn't too far down the street. It was like right next to me. So I thought they were there for like a party and they were just parking in the street because my neighbors were pretty young and they had parties pretty frequently. So I wasn't really too worried. But then I saw the car doors start to open and lots of police were coming up my driveway. Like lots of cops. And they were holding weapons. And I was like, okay, these are police officers. I'm getting swatted right now. So I already knew what to do. I went to the door. I opened the door. I had my hands up. I walked out there. They like told me to come out with my hands up. I walked up to one of the officers. He turns me around. He searches me, asks me if anyone else is in the house. I say no, but my girlfriend will be back soon. I then proceeded to tell him that I'm a YouTuber and a streamer and that this has happened before. And he says, I know who you are, but we had to respond the way we did due to the serious nature of the call. And I said, I understand. And then he told me that they just need to search the house, and when that's all done and the call is basically proven to be fake, they'll let me go about my business and they'll leave. So I'm just kind of sitting there in handcuffs, just waiting for them to get done searching my house. And as I'm sitting there in cuffs with this police officer, my girlfriend comes walking up the driveway. And she immediately starts crying, and the cop approaches her, the one that I was talking to. And he's like, hey, are you his girlfriend? And she's like, yep. And she says her name, and they start talking. And then she walks up to me, and she's like, hey, what happened? I'm like, well, I got swatted. I don't know how they got my address already, but somebody did. And that was the worst part about this. Like, I had no clue how someone could have possibly gotten my address. I hadn't posted any videos of my new house. None of my friends did. I didn't live stream in the new house. I didn't show anybody it yet. Like, there was no way for someone to find that out. But then after I said I got swatted, my girlfriend starts looking really, really guilty and quiet. And I was like, what's wrong? Are you okay? And she goes, I think this is my fault. And that confused me. I was like, what do you mean? How could it be your fault? She goes, I think I posted something that might have shown the address. And I was like, okay, what are you talking about? What'd you post? And she opens up her phone. She opens up her Instagram and shows me and the police officer her Instagram story. And what the story was her walking away from my house, literally right when she started her walk after she walked out of my house. And it's her recording in like vlog style, ranting to her phone about how guys can't be trusted and how I was being unloyal to her. She wasn't saying my name specifically, but she was alluding to me. She's like, my boyfriend was talking to some girl and I just caught him. And she's just like ranting, getting it all out on Instagram and also not even telling the truth. And this whole time that she's walking away from my house, ranting about me and talking about me, my house is showing in the background. You can see the house numbers. They're lit up by the porch light. And this story went on for like 2 minutes from her in my driveway all the way to the end of the street where my street sign was. So not only did she show my address, but she showed the fucking street sign on accident. So pretty much gave away my house number, and the street sign. So my full address was on her Snapchat story. And I had a very, very small amount of subscribers that knew about her and me, and they followed her because they wanted to follow Luna's girlfriend. So there was like probably 10 or 20 of my subscribers that knew about her and followed her, and one of them happened to be not so nice and knew how to swap people, and that's what they did. Now you're probably like, Austin, how can you be so sure? Like maybe it was just one big coincidence. That's what I thought at first too. Like I was upset, but I was like, you know what? I'm not going to blame her yet. Maybe it was just coincidence. Maybe it was bad timing, whatever. But right after she showed me the story, she went to her DMs and she had one new DM from an anonymous account that was on private with 1 follower and no profile picture. And the DM read, "Get swatted, winky face." So that confirmed it. Like they got it from her story and they proceeded to swat me and her. And it was not fun. But guess what? There was a happy ending. The police searched my house. They knew the call was bullshit. They let me and her go back inside, and they left without really much of a hassle. It was definitely a swatting, but they knew who I was, luckily, and they kind of responded a little bit mellow. Obviously, it wasn't completely mellow. There was 7 or 8 cops, but it could have been a lot worse. Unfortunately, this story time gets even worse. After the police left, I looked at my girlfriend, and I was like, hey, that story you posted, aside from us getting swatted, you were lying in it. You were talking like I cheated on you. You were saying you caught me. Like, you were speaking like it was fact. And you just don't trust me at all. And I don't like that. You also told me you were going for a walk to clear your head. And you were secretly just vlogging all of our personal business on your story and not even telling the truth. And she goes, well, I don't know if I'll ever be able to trust you again. I don't know. Like, that just broke a lot of my trust. And I was like, if you can't trust me because of a middle school contact I forgot to delete, then we probably can't be dating. And she goes, I agree. And we broke it off. So not only did I get swatted, but we broke up that night. Now later on down the line, me and her became friends, and we're cool to this day, but I'm kind of glad that relationship didn't go any further because there was just no trust after that. And yeah, moral of the story is, be careful with what you post on the internet. Always double check things. Make sure you're not accidentally leaking personal info. Don't post anybody else's personal info. And that's pretty much that. I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. I thought it was a crazy one. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys all later. Peace.
Baby, I'm damaged. I cannot play this. Won't you be mine? And